Is this thing working? I don't know. I hope this thing is working. Because if it's not, I'm in serious, serious trouble here. And with that, having been gone for a week, I look at the camera and say, hi, hello, and how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to Front Porch Brunch, a fun little live stream that we do on the weekends where we get together, we talk about the news, we give our views, and we try to solve all the problems of the world, or at least give our opinion about how they ought to be solved. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you are not a subscriber to my channel, would you please do me a huge favor and go ahead and subscribe. Share the link around to your friends. Go ahead and leave some comments in chat. What are we going to comment about? I don't know, but you ought to comment about something. We're here, we're loud, we're proud, we're not going back because we are the media. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I'm sometimes known as the fine fella in the fedora. I'm sometimes called the beau in the chapeau. On occasion, I am referred to as the common man with common sense, but I am, above all else, your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube, so please share the link around to your friends. Tell them to get in here. Let's turn this thing into a big old party. Let's have fun. Let's do the thing we do. Let's make it all happen. And while you're at it, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, why don't you go ahead and do so? Because you know you really want to. The temptation is more than you can take. You really need to go ahead and subscribe. It's going to be a good Saturday morning. Yeah. I saw that WWG one. Hang on a minute. You guys talk amongst yourselves for a second. You got to fix something here. Hopefully, this will do it. All right. Tell me how that looks. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay. Good to have you guys here today. Glad to have you all in the house. Oh, it feels like it's been a while since we've been together on a brunch. And actually it has. I was traveling last weekend to Cincinnati to visit the lady. And in those situations, obviously I won't be streaming. So it's been a little while, but I've missed you guys. Got to see some of you Thursday night when Tracy and I did the newsroom. And otherwise, it's just been a little while since we've been together. So WWG1 gives me the thumbs up on the lighting situation is much better. It's a bad thing about this location where I'm at. It's a great little spot. But man, if you start a live stream at the wrong point of the day, then man, it's game on. Oh my goodness. So, all right, let's see who all is in the house. I'll tell you what, we're going to start with the Rumble side. WWG1 has been very busy already with memes galore. And says, let's see. Happy Saturday to all. The sunlight behind you is washing out the picture. Much better. Good morning. Okay. Very good morning to you, WWG1. TBA says, dang, WWG1, you got the memes today. And howdy, and all the rest of Fedora Nation. Feels good, man, to be back on the front porch for brunch. I agree wholeheartedly. Sean, my favorite crazy Canadian, is here. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Sean. Glad to have you in the house, sir. All right. The Rumble crowd is slowly filtering in. Let's see who's over here on the YouTube side. Z Highness is in the house representing the 199. Mwah. Good morning, darling. My other favorite crazy Canadian. Good morning, Vietnam and Canada. Yeah, well, Canada might as well be Vietnam. Let's see. Good morning, America. Well, we're glad to have you here in the house, Adam, and shalom, my brother. Let's see who else is here. Lana's in the house. Mwah, looking lovely as always. Yo, Brian, where you at, bruh? Oh, look, I had to sort out WWG1's memes and various other things that he gave, and believe me, he's put a good and healthy and funny supply of stuff in. So it took me a second, but I'm here. I promise. I'm in the house. Let's see who else might be here. Yeah, I've got a heavenly background. Yeah, well, they say it is a world without darkness, so I guess it's going to have to be gotten used to. Let's see. Who else is here? Who else is in the house so far? Okay. All right. All good. All right. I think we caught up with everybody so far. Glad to have you guys here. It has been a very busy week, not just for me, but for the country in general. I mean, I was talking about this with Tracy the other night on the newsroom, and for those of you who've heard the story, I apologize in advance, but most of you here haven't heard it. I was watching before we went on Thursday night a little bit of War Room with Owen Schroyer. He works for the Alex Jones Network. And Owen's 35 years old. He's young. He's in good shape. He's plugged in. He does what he does full time. He's got a whole staff of people there in Austin, Texas. And much like guys like Jack Posobiec and others, he's plugged into DC. He's got contacts everywhere. And even he made the statement the other day. He's like, man, I cannot keep up with it all. And I feel exactly what he's saying. I feel exactly what Owen Schroyer is saying. It's just there is so much going on. It is so hard to keep up. And don't get me wrong, it's good things. There are very good things that are happening, in my opinion. And I think in the long term will be to the benefit of the country. So, getting everything worked out. But personally, it's been a busy week. It's been a busy week for me, busy week for you guys, busy week for the country, busy week for Donald Trump. And we're going to get into some or all of that as much as we can. I mean, I never thought I'd ever had trouble keeping up with a 78-year-old man, but daggone it if I'm not in that problem right now. So glad to have all you guys here today. We will start off, as we are wont to do, with the Merry Memes section of the show. And I've got a whole good little slew of them, thanks to WWG1, thanks to Adam, thanks to others, and all the time trying to find things. But I did a video this week on the controversy about the Episcopalian Bishop of Washington, D.C. at the National Prayer Service. And I didn't think that video was going to get as much reaction as it did, but I'm not going to lie, and I'm not trying to toot my horn here. I'm just telling you what happened. I got people commenting in about that thing, just giving Donald Trump grief, giving me grief, giving everybody grief. Sean, I saw your comment over on Rumble. I will have to talk to you about that, my friend. So I saw your comment, my brother, and I will be reaching out to you about this. So, okay, there you go. Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of things happened. Melania's hat, yeah, she kind of got that Jack Nicholson from the Batman vibe going on. So, but yeah, she's looking stunning. And, but anyway, getting back to the video, I got all kinds of reaction from people just giving me grief. She didn't do anything wrong. The bishop didn't do anything wrong. You are just okay. Well, all right. Well, I found a cartoon which I'm going to use to start off the Merry Memes section of the show, and I think this cartoon sums up better than anybody or anything what my primary objection was to what she did. Now, and most of the reaction that I got from that video had to do with, she's just speaking from the Bible. She's just doing what she's supposed to do. I said in my video, and I will say it again, I have not one problem with any Christian minister speaking to political leaders, thus saith the Lord, based upon their interpretation of the Bible. My problem with it was, number one, it was supposed to be a prayer service. And yes, you can have a sermon during a prayer service. I'm not saying you can't. But the part that got me was it stopped being about the Bible and it started being about what I felt were her political persuasions. And I think this cartoon is going to sum up better than anything what really happened. I mean, it's one thing to be speaking from the Holy Bible. It's another thing when you've got politics right in behind it. So, yeah, no, Robert, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all, brother. But yeah, this to me, when I saw this cartoon, I was like, I gotta show this to the gang. I gotta show this to Fedora Nation because this cartoon, probably better than anything I ever could have said, sums up exactly what I felt she did. So anyway, I give it for your peruse. You know what? I'll even do you better than that. Hang on a minute. If you're trying to explain to friends of yours who might disagree with you what it is she did, I'm going to drop this on both sides, on YouTube and on Rumble, and feel free to share it with your friends. So there you go. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's perfect. If ever a picture says so much, that one does it. So anyway, so there you go. All right, moving on. Now, you guys may have heard that that many of the DEI offices in and around the federal government are now in the process of shutting down if they have not already been shut down. And that was by executive order of the President of the United States. And Donald Trump is wasting no time moving and grooving. So good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We are happy to have you here. Triple M. Glad you're in the house. You see, yeah, the DEI offices around the federal government are in the process of shutting down, not without a certain amount. You got to keep an eye on it because these people are just going to try and infiltrate. They'll just change job titles and all that happy stuff. Well, as you might expect, whenever government offices shut down, you have to start trying to inventory equipment. Whose is it? Who does it belong to? And make sure that everything gets to the proper person in the proper place and that sort of thing. Well, we have some photographs of some DEI equipment in the process of being broken down and sorted out. And you know what? I got to say, I don't know what some of this stuff has to do with certain people at the FBI, but maybe this serves some useful purpose. I don't know. But yeah, apparently as these offices, start to shut down, we're trying to figure out ways to catalog what belongs to who, get it to the right person, that sort of thing. So, there's a lot of hard work involved when you shut down a government office. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Lana, you're absolutely right, darling. They're already shifting job titles around trying to protect the DEI people. So, we're going to have to be ever uber vigilant. So I've heard about being screaming. This, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is why Reuben Christopher Haynes is one of the best, funniest, and insightful people on the internet. If you are not following him, if you are not subscribed to his channel, what the heck is the matter with you? It's this kind of good humor and graciousness under fire that absolutely is one of the reasons why Reuben is one of the best out there in the whole of social media. So yes, absolutely subscribe to this good man's channel right here. He's my guy. Absolutely, Reuben, you are so correct, sir. Jeez. Ooh, you guys are we're not even 15 minutes into this live stream. You guys are getting salty already. I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that one. So Adam sent me a something or another. What is it like when illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, depending on how you like to use the title, what is it like when they hear that ICE is coming to their town? Well, guys, I don't know. Maybe they're running for the border. Maybe they're running away. Maybe they're doing something. But, this may be what happens when illegal immigrants hear that ICE is coming to their town for deportations and raids. I'm just saying. Tell you what. You got to give it to Adam. You got to give it to Adam. He has a peculiar but wonderful sense of humor. Let's see. WWG1 says job title shifting is already happening at Marsh University. The head DEI people are still there. They now have different job titles. See, this is exact. Well, let me give you a little bit of context for WWG1's statement. The newly inaugurated governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey, who's a Republican, issued an executive order mandating that all DEI offices at state universities and various other state offices be just kaput, shut down. Well, some very clever people at Marshall University apparently are shifting job titles around to keep their DEI people in place. So, like I say, the left is not going to give up without a fight, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, just because we've won certain offices. No, you gotta get in there, root and branch, and get this stuff out. So there you go. But thank you for that, WWG1. I appreciate it. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, WWG1 sent me something, and hang on 1 second, folks. I gotta check this thing out. Give me a second here. Speaking of illegal immigrants or people on the other side of the border, WWG1 sent me something the other day that is sent me something this morning, and I looked at this and I went, oh my God, this is too funny. And you know what? I got to share this one with you. So this runs about 1 minute, and folks, I think you're going to get something of a kick out of this. And if you don't like it, you can blame WWG1, because I take no blame for the stuff that doesn't go right on the show. So I'm just kidding, WWG1. I love you. I ain't throwing you under the bus yet. Be cool, dude. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy this. Check it out. This is what we would call life on the other side of the wall.
¿Qué pues, pinche gringo mamón? Si tengo mi green card.
Thanks for your collaboration. And remember, don't come back again.
Y el gringo nos quiere cobrar el muro. Dile que no, pinche gringo racista. Pues no te pagaremos nada.
Wait a minute, please.
WWG1, I don't know where you found this, but that has got to be one of the most hysterical things I think I've ever watched. Hey, wait a minute. For y'all on the YouTube side, let me pop this one in for you, because that, to me, that's just too good not to share. And I'll even re-put it back in the Rumble side. But I watched that one earlier, and I went, holy cow, that is great. That is absolutely great. Now, this one, again, from WWG1, because he has just that kind of sense of humor, and you got to love it. He found something that might make you wonder what it's like when Donald Trump walks up to the White House on day one, or what it might have looked like. So if you had any ideas what that might be like in your imagination, anyway, check this out. Let me see if the music is going to get me in trouble here.
Dun, 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 dun. Little pig, let me in.
Okay, there you. I don't know if that's what Donald said to Joe on the day of the inauguration or not, but you never know with these things. You just never know. Oh, goodness me. What else have we got from y'all's wicked imaginations? Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Let me see. Hang on one second, guys. I got to check something out here.
Distressed. This dumbass has been ousted from the White House. He is now relegated to diversity, whose presence now world as killery.
So what happens when an animal safari channel gets mixed with inauguration ceremonies? Well, WWG1 came up with something that's actually pretty good to describe that. So hope you guys enjoy this as much as I did. So with that, get a good chuckle and check this one out.
Observes the jackass, visibly distressed. This dumbass has been ousted from the White House. He is now relegated to the role of an onlooker as his nemesis assumes command. Adding to his torment, he finds himself seated beside the cackling dingus, a dipshit, chosen in the name of diversity, whose presence now looms as a haunting reminder of his defeat. Although the jackass and the dingus are not alone in their defeat at the hands of the Donald. This crowd appears to be a veritable congregation of losers. In the second row sits a shriveled bag of sphincters, known to the world as killery, with a long history of getting her ass kicked by the Donald. And so all we can do is observe in quiet amusement as this gaggle of dipshits gazes on in collective defeat. A fitting spectacle, perhaps, for the ever-turning tides of political fortune. Here's to the rallying cry that echoes through the ages. Make America great again.
You know, that's got to be one of the best mixes I've ever seen of an animal channel and an inauguration day. That's a real good one. That is a really good one. Okay, got one more here. It's not necessarily a meme, but this one I think is definitely worth mentioning. As you guys observed on Monday, if you had the chance to watch the inauguration ceremony, it's one of the last great traditions is the newly inaugurated president walking out. Normally it's of the White House or Capitol Hill, whatever, to see the outgoing president off with a good handshake. And the outgoing president will then walk to Marine One and then be choppered away to Andrews Air Force Base, where he will take his last ride on Air Force One. Well, someone caught a picture of part of that ceremony, and you know what? If ever there's a picture that ought to be framed by everyone who is MAGA or MAHA or anybody on the political right side of the spectrum, it's this one, because this picture is absolutely great. Melania, Donald, JD, and Usha all standing there waving simultaneously, waving goodbye to Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. At an end is your reign, and not short enough it was. So there you go. Yeah, and you know what? If you don't have this one saved somewhere, again, I'm going to drop this one in chat for all you guys, because to me, that picture just says it all. Out with the old and in with the new, and I am glad to see it happen, let me tell you. All right. Okay. Let's get into our first story of the morning. And I'm going to show you some images from North Carolina. And some of y'all out there who are watching this live stream, or maybe you're not familiar with this channel, you're like, Brian, why are you going on about North Carolina again? For heaven's sake, man. It's been 4 months. Yeah, it's been 4 months. And you would normally assume that in 4 months, you would have a better situation for the people who went through that natural disaster than now than they would be when it all happened. But North Carolina is still a mess. Now, I'm going to show you some imagery. I don't know how recent this is, but if you want to get a feel for what's still going on down there, this should help you do it. Now, remember, Hurricane Helene rolled through North Carolina in late September of last year. So it's been October, November, December. Yeah, we're going on up on January, about 4 months since Helene rolled through. What does North Carolina look like in some parts? Well, kind of looks like this. Still, after 4 months, after FEMA being down there, doing whatever the flip it is that FEMA does, this is North Carolina. Now, again, I don't know how recently this video was taken. Might be very recent, might be just in the past few days. I don't know. But you get an idea of the frustration that people are feeling over the lack of federal response to help them out, to help them recover. Well, I'll give you one more here. This is from a gentleman named Matt Van Swol. He used to work for the federal government, particularly as a nuclear scientist at the U.S. Department of Energy. He's various things. He's a photographer, he's content creator, what have you. And this is a video that he did, runs about 1 minute. And it kind of sets up what we're about to talk about next. So again, I want to show this to you guys. If you haven't seen it, as always, let me know if the sound is okay. And here we go.
Good morning from my road in western North Carolina. It's been 119 days since Hurricane Helene. And if you're wondering why all of us are still talking about it, it's because my street has this all over it. Over here, there is a bridge. It is sitting in the river. It used to connect this neighborhood to the road, and it's totally gone. The bridge is literally just sitting, hanging in the river. It has not been fixed. It's been 4 months. This is why we're still talking about it. This is why we're excited for Trump to come today, because this is still what our town looks like. This is my road. That right there, my kid's soccer field. I coach soccer there, and it's completely unusable. There's just debris everywhere. Trash is everywhere. This is why we've been screaming for months. We need help. We need someone to help clean all of this up, to get the bridges fixed, to get the roads fixed. We need help. Trump, I hope you come bring it. Good morning.
Okay. So you begin to understand why people are feeling the way they are and why it is they were very excited to find out that Donald Trump was coming to North Carolina. One more clip here. This one runs about 1:14. And this is a lady who just now got into an apartment. She lost her home because of Hurricane Helene. And just now, in the past week, maybe 10 days, just now got into an apartment. And again, these images and these videos are just absolutely haunting. So with that, one last video and we'll get into our discussions.
When I found out that I was actually going to be able to get an apartment, I was just like relieved. And it didn't really hit in until I like walked in here and saw a kitchen table and a bed. And I was like, oh my God, you guys got me cups. I mean, it just had like just enough to where I could bring in my own things. And then I started crying when I saw the bed because it's just like, it's just very comforting. I'm like, oh, I get to stay here for a little while. So that was nice. And then we did hugs with the FEMA guys. and Gordon, who helped me get in here. And then the dogs somehow knew that this was where we were going to be for a minute, and had a band of a time. And I just like sat in here and was just like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay for a minute. It's very, it's just very, it's a great relief.
Okay, so that's a FEMA promotional video, but you get the idea. Yeah, yeah, you don't, Lana, you get no disagreement from me, honey. It is a disgrace. And Trump made a vow he would come visit. And he did. Now, there's a lot of clips that I could play of Trump's visit. He visited the area with the governor, a Democrat and last name Stein, visited with Franklin Graham of Samaritan's Purse, also with Melania Trump, his wife. And they talked to all kinds of people. I've got one clip here where Trump is talking to people in a certain neighborhood. And this is going to run about 3 minutes. But if you really want some idea of what these people are going through and what Donald Trump got to hear firsthand, this one's gonna probably break your heart. So this is a lady talking with Trump, and this, you want an idea what these people went through and what they're still fighting to try to do, check this one out.
But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them. And there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. You know, my son's like, Mom, you're going to see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months.
Okay, hang on a minute. I didn't think I was muted. Hang on, let me check. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me speaking? Can you hear me speaking? Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all? Okay, I'm good now. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me back that up. See if we can straighten this out. And start that clip over again. All right. Is anybody having trouble hearing? Is anybody having the trouble hearing the video? No sound on video. Okay, hang on a minute. We'll fix that. Give me one moment, folks, because we are all about customer service here on the Electronic Front Porch. This should be an easy fix. So give me one moment. See if we can straighten this whole thing out. If my computer will start. Okay, there we go. All right, speakers functioning. That's the way it should. All right, one moment. Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. I think we got this thing straightened out. Okay, do me some favors. Tell me if you guys can hear this. All right, and give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound. With that, we're going to try this again in 3, 2, 1.
Horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them. And there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. You know, my son's like, Mom, you're going to see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we have went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern is if we have a fire or we have an emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called FEMA, and I said this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us today is still September 27th. We haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself is probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. It's just, and as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we've been forgotten. If it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help, because and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it. But you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. When you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. I don't understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know. It's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Good daughter you have, huh?
Okay, I apologize for the length of that clip, but I wanted you guys. And I played a few of them this morning, and it's not that you guys don't know what's going on down there, but I think sometimes it's good for me, and maybe for you as well, if you feel this way. It's good to be reminded of what happened to them, and what they're going through 4 months later, trying to get their communities rebuilt. FEMA is supposed to be helping. Listening to this lady's story, and again, every story is different. Every situation's a little different, and I understand that. But more often than not, coming out of Western North Carolina, you're hearing stories like this. FEMA's saying, well, turn in your receipts and we'll reimburse you for it. That's a $300,000 bridge and a road that God only knows how much the road cost to construct. It's not like they can go to their bank, if the bank is even still standing, who knows? It's not like they can go to their bank and go, oh, yes, I'll pull $300,000 out and I'll get a contract and we'll put that bridge back together. They can't do that. And Donald Trump willingly stood there and listened. I was watching in chat on the Rumble side. It was Shorty. It's like, I think she said, imagine a president of the United States actually standing there and listening. Let me find that, because that line was absolutely great. Yeah, here it is. Shorty said, a president who listens to the people, and WWG1's like, go figure, right? Yeah, exactly. Somebody that listens. Well, Christian, you and Donald Trump are about on the same page. Because I got a story here, and it is setting official Washington on fire. But I want to read his comment. FEMA shouldn't quite exist. Disaster relief is best undertaken by local authorities and communities. The normalization of federal disaster relief has been a disaster in itself. Amen, Professor. Amen. And Trump is on the same wavelength with you, and I think a whole lot of other people. I got a story here from the Associated Press, And like I said, when Donald Trump dropped his comments yesterday in Western North Carolina, he absolutely set everybody in Washington on their ear with this. And I want to go straight to the AP. Headline: Trump proposes getting rid of FEMA while touring disaster areas. Article by Wes Weissert, Chris Mangerian, and Makia Simnera. We have the following. Dateline Los Angeles. Donald Trump surveyed disaster zones in California and North Carolina on Friday and said he was considering, quote, getting rid of federal emergency management agency, offering the latest sign of how he is weighing sweeping changes to the nation's central organization for responding to disasters. Instead of having federal financial assistance flow through FEMA, the Republican president said Washington could provide money directly to the states. He made the comments while visiting North Carolina, which is still recovering months after Hurricane Helene on the first trip of his second term. Quote, FEMA has been a very big disappointment, the Republican president said. It's very bureaucratic and it's very slow. Trump said Michael Whatley, a North Carolina native and chair of the Republican National Committee, would help coordinate recovery efforts in the state, where frustrations over the federal response have lingered. Although Whatley does not hold an official government position, Trump said he would be very much in charge. While the president emphasized his desire to help North Carolina, a battleground state that voted for him in all of his presidential contests, he was much less generous toward California, where he arrived to visit federal wildfire-ravaged Los Angeles later in the day. Well, we'll get to Los Angeles, okay? I don't disagree with you. I think his reasoning is different than perhaps yours, but you guys are on the same wavelength as far as the idea. But I mean, and frankly, I mean, Christian and Trump are right. FEMA is slow. It's bureaucratic. It's one size fits all. It's not helpful. And people are, well, you're just saying that because it's Hurricane Hill. No. These criticisms of FEMA go back for decades. Okay. I mean, we're talking years of complaints about how FEMA operates. And frankly, I like the idea. Look, and Trump made this point out in Los Angeles talking about Hurricane Helene, and I agree with him. Look, the people on the ground in North Carolina, the people on the ground in Los Angeles know better than anybody else what they need to do to get their communities rebuilt. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not like, the feds give the states money and then all of a sudden, snap of a finger and everything's back to the way it was. Everything's perfectly normal again. That's not my point. But people on the ground in an area where a disaster's taken place know better than anybody else what they need to do to fix it. Okay? And frankly, having a layer of middleman between direct assistance and the people who need it is not helping anybody. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the people who work for FEMA may or may not be well-intentioned. Okay? That's not my point. I'm not here to disparage them. But the institution for which they work is not helping. Oh, you're just complaining because it's Helene. No, it's not. Again, it's not just the response to Hurricane Helene. These criticisms, be it mine, Trump's, Christian Watson, or anybody else who's monitored this sort of situation through the years, it's all the same. FEMA is slow. It more often than not doesn't get help quickly enough to the people who need it. It's just not run well. So why don't we just take the money? Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention Katrina, but yeah, drop the ball on Katrina. That's absolutely true. I mean, again, these criticisms go back years. I mean, I'll give you an example of an alternative. I want you to think about the response of the state of Florida when a hurricane rolls through versus what you've got in North Carolina right now. Okay? And I don't think this was the most recent one, but I think it was in the past couple of years. There was a hurricane that went through southern Florida, knocked out just main artery bridges. They had those babies up and running in about 72 hours. Why? Because Ron DeSantis, and again, this isn't about Democrat or Republican, it's just about basic competence, okay? Ron DeSantis and his people game planned for the response on that brilliantly. Yes, there was still disruption of service, but it wasn't nearly what it is in other states. California. And again, you can have your criticisms of DeSantis as much as anybody else. I understand that. But my point is, here you have an example of a state where they're like, look, you're not FEMA, you just get out the way, we'll work on this. And boom, quicker response time, basic services are up and running faster. They're on their way to getting everything back to as normal as you can get it when a natural disaster comes through your area. So I don't blame Trump at all for the idea that we need to get rid of FEMA and come up with a much better way of doing this. Frankly, this is a conversation that is long overdue. Long overdue indeed. So yes, absolutely. Let's look at doing this. Let's look at doing this by all means. So, yeah. Saying hello to some folks who dropped in the room, and I hope I'm not missing anybody. I saw the Duke stop by. Duke. Dave's here. Dave's in the house. We get you, brother. That's all right. But you just drive safe up to Boston. Yeah, you be careful up in Boston. There's some funky stuff going down up there. So yeah, now we're getting into a discussion. Should we even have FEMA? I say, first of all, let's have the discussion. Second of all, let's not just discuss it. Let's just get rid of it and start direct sending, disaster aid directly to the states. TBA over on Rumble says, a president who isn't taking any vacation time in the first week on the job. Nice. Amen to that. Man, Trump, like I said at the beginning of the live stream, Trump is just moving and grooving, man. Even people who are half his age are having trouble keeping up with him. I mean, I'm 53, Trump's 78, so he's got about 25 years on me. But I ain't gonna lie. I mean, even people younger than I am, which, by the way, I got a story later on for HodgePodge Stew, where the press is complaining because they can't keep up with the guy. It's funny as all get out. It's a great story from Breitbart, and I'll share it with you guys a little bit later. Yeah, so TBA says, at his desk from 7 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. every day since Monday. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. If you see a Marine outside the door to the Rose Garden, that means the president's in. And frankly, I don't know how he does it with Trump. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's well known that Trump doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and never did either one. So, I mean, with the exception of some bad fast food habits. I mean, Donald Trump is a machine. I don't see how he does it. I really don't. It's, if ever I got the chance to interview Trump, I think that's one of the questions I'd love to ask him is, how is it that you are so effective at just staying on task and getting stuff done? I mean, yes, he's one man who's exceptionally talented, and I'm not without his foibles. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I would love to know because, he just seems like he just doesn't slow down, which means in part he's got to have good people around him. So, but still, I'd love to ask him that question sometime if I ever did get the chance to interview him. But yeah, it's rather amazing indeed. Now, by the way, Trump's efforts down there apparently are making some things happen. I want to show you a letter that went out yesterday to various insurance companies, because one of the complaints that people have is that, they're not, especially in Western North Carolina, is they're not getting any help from their insurance companies. And this has prompted Josh Hawley to issue a letter to various insurance companies. Now, what will happen out of this, I don't know. But it does let me know, hey, there's some movement here. Maybe something good is going to happen down the road. So I'll read you the letter, and I apologize for not being able to enlarge it any more than what it is. Dear insurer, earlier this year, American communities were devastated by Hurricane Helene and Milton. Countless Americans lost loved ones, homes, businesses, and beloved towns in the violence of the storm. Now, all across the eastern seaboard, thousands are struggling to recover and build their lives. Widespread reports indicate that some companies are standing in the way. Seizing the opportunity to limit their own liabilities, insurance companies processing claims related to these hurricanes are reportedly engaging in a pattern of denying homeowner insurance claims. If this is true, Americans who have already lost everything now face the ultimate insult, loss of any chance to rebuild. They will be left with virtually nothing. These reports are outrageous. Americans purchase insurance so that when disaster strikes, they and their loved ones will have some recourse. That is the reason insurance companies exist in the first place. Denying coverage to American policyholders at a time when many of them have been displaced and left grieving is not merely a betrayal, it's morally obscene. In the wake of these reports of denials of coverage, I invite you to publicly testify before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Subcommittee on Disaster Management, which has jurisdiction over disaster recovery efforts. In the interim, please provide answers to the following questions. Number 1, how many insurance claims brought by homeowners in the wake of Hurricanes Helene and Milton has your company denied? Number 2, on what grounds were those claims denied? Please provide an itemized breakdown. And number 3, what is your average response time when customers submit a claim after disaster? I look forward to your response. Sincerely, Senator Josh Hawley, Chair, Subcommittee on Disaster Management, Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. Okay. And I will drop this in chat. Maybe you guys want to look at it. Maybe not, but it's always good to share information. So there seems to be some movement, brought in large part due to Donald Trump making movement. So there you go. Well, TBA's got an answer to one of my questions. I said, how is it that Trump is moving so fast and so quickly? He says the lefties effed up by giving Trump 4 years to plan his second term. There you go, baby. There you go. WWG1 says, in response to Josh Hawley's letter, accountability, anyone? Exactly. So Trump was in North Carolina Friday and then hopped on Air Force One and went out to California. There is so much that could be said about Trump's California visit. And, oh boy. First of all, and I do not have the, well, maybe I can find this real fast. Hang on. Gavin Newsom, who is just about absolutely useless. So Trump is on his way through Air Force One, and Gavin decides to show up at the airport, right? And I tell you what, I just, I know that better days are ahead for California somewhere down the line. Most importantly, stop it. I know better days are ahead for California somewhere down the line, but my God, what they've got to go through to get there. And I don't mean just recovering from these wildfires and all the other insanity that is the governance of the state of California. But what I mean is I know better days are ahead for California as far as its political leadership. Now, it's going to take some time. But, oh yeah, dear. He is most certainly everything that his nickname describes him to be. Absolutely. I know better days are ahead for California, even though they're going through some horrific things. I really do believe that it might take some time, but events like what's happening in Los Angeles and around the state is going to actually start turning that state further and further away from the direction they've been going. Now, Duke, is this for me, or this for you, or this for other people? Or do you want to put this kind of hat on Gavin Newsom's head? I don't know. We'll see. But Gavin showed up at the airport after Trump and Melania departed Air Force One. And after that, he was nowhere to be seen and just about as useless otherwise. So here is the exchange between Trump and Governor Newsom of California at the airport.
Most importantly, thank you for being here. It means a great deal to all of us, not just the folks in Palisades, the folks in Altadena that were devastated. We're going to need your support. We're going to need your help. You were there for us during COVID. I don't forget that. And I have all the expectations that we'll be able to work together to get this speedy recovery. We're going to get it done.
Yeah, so that's Gavin being otherwise useless, but grandstanding. He's a great grandstander, but he's otherwise useless. Oh, my God. Truly, that man is just useless. Now, so from there, Trump went to a meeting at a local fire department, and this was great. And not just because, yeah, I know. He's just, it's Gavin. The man is tacky, he's slimy, and uses way too much gel cream in his hair. Okay? There is nothing that man does or does not do that really surprises me anymore. If someone, well, never mind. I'm not going to say that line because that will get me in trouble. It's Gavin Newsom. He's just tacky. He's tacky, slimy, and like I said, way too much Brill cream in his hair. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good way to describe him. He's quite the supervillain. Yeah. But Trump goes to a local fire station to sit down to a meeting with, firefighters, folks from the community, congressmen, and and the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. And if you want an idea that there is definitely a new sheriff in town in the presidency, this meeting is Donald Trump taking some people to school. This clip is great. It runs about 2 minutes, 45 seconds, but every bit of this is great. And I will share the link after we're done if you have not seen it yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Donald Trump listening to the people, Karen Bass trying to respond to the people, and Donald Trump verbally smacking her around going, "Yeah, you're not getting away with any of your crap anymore."
6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can. But we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
Okay, now hold it. I got to stop right here for 1 second. We're going to move. And notice, look at that woman. And I'm not trying to disparage her looks, but what I mean when look at her, look at the smile on her face and the whole, we're going to move as fast as we can to get you back in your homes. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that you're safe. After the fact, after I didn't do anything to keep you safe, after I didn't do anything to make sure we could have made you safe, after I didn't do anything to remove the debris that contributed to the brush fires, after I didn't make sure we had water in the reservoirs, after I did, I could sit here and go on and on and on and on with this woman's bureaucratic failings as a mayor. And now she has the gall and the audacity to sit there and look at the citizens who have lost everything. Everything. Who the only debris they've got to worry about are the burned out frames of what used to be their houses, if those frames are even still standing. She has the gall to look at them and go, our goal is to get you back into your homes as soon as possible and make sure you're safe. Needless to say, this did not go over well with Mr. Trump, and now you're going to hear from the president.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can.
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do it
to-
because
No, no,
by
no,
the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a
The
family.
people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours. And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract
If
that's going to
individuals
charge him
want to build-
$25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I
an
mean, you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
Oh my God. I mean, now look, maybe she's right, but let me ask you this question before we go back to the rest of the clip. Does anybody really believe that she would have made the statement, oh yes, individuals can clear out their own property if they wish to do so? You know, they can do that. Does anybody really believe she would have said that if Donald Trump had not called her on the carpet in front of God and everybody? Oh, you're being a little bit harsh there, aren't you, Brian? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Does anybody really believe Karen Bass would have said, oh yeah, the property owners can clean up their own property if they want to go ahead and do it. They don't have to wait on us. Unbelievable. Anyway, now from here, there's a gentleman in the audience, a citizen, who's come to this meeting, and he's making some comments.
Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
A week. A week, she says. Property sitting there vacant. God only knows what's happening with whatever is still left. Maybe there's looting of the property, but they'll be able to go back in a week, don't you know? You know, mind you, the property belongs to the property owner, not the city of Los Angeles. Well, hopefully not yet. But you get my point. Oh, but the bureaucrat says I can go back in a week. Well, again, Trump's not having any of this.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
Oh, no, we got to make sure everybody's safe. Hey, they're standing in front of their houses. Let them go to work. They want to do it. Let them start doing it.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing. And I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
Last night.
And that was last night.
On that. Right.
Mr. President, we're going to be together next week, and
6 months.
Now this is, to me, this is going to be the rub. Now, one thing Trump's already done, and if I'm wrong on this, you guys can correct me, but as I understand it, Trump's already waived the federal permitting process. He's like, no, forget the permits. Get in there and do it. Just go in there, from the federal side, you guys are green light. Go. Adam Carolla Can I find this real fast? Because here's going to be the rub for a lot of people in Los Angeles when it comes to trying to rebuild their homes. You watch this. Can I find this real fast, please? Corolla permits. Tell me I've got this real fast. No, thought I was going to be able to find it real fast. Thought I was going to be able to find it, but he made a fantastic point the other day, and I so wholeheartedly agree with him. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Here it is. I think I just found it. Give me 1 second here, folks. Hang on.
In the permit process, the guy.
I found it. Okay. Adam Carolla brings up a very good point about permitting process in California. And I want you guys to hear this, because here's going to be the fight between the citizens of Los Angeles, and the city. Check this out.
Guys who lost their $20 million homes.
Now, one word of warning. Might be a little language in here. Sorry in advance.
On the ocean side of PCH will be knee-deep in the permit process. They will be trying to pull permits when the guys in the Winnebagos will have been back for months before those guys ever get a permit. As a matter of fact, good fucking luck. Because here's the deal. Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers moved because they could not get a permit to rebuild their home of 40 years on the ocean on PCH, right? So here's what's going to happen. Let me just give you guys a little primer of what's going to happen. You know how Bill Maher seems real conservative now when he's like arguing with Jane Fonda about regulations, too many regulations, like strangling everything? Because remember, when Bill Maher tried to put solar in his house in Beverly Hills, that's when he turned against the government, because he saw what the government and the overreach of government and overregulation does. He got strangled. It took him 3 years to build a solar shack. He had a whole countdown on his show, day 1,000 since I've got my permit for my solar. He turned. Okay. The people who live in Malibu, who live in Santa Monica, who live in the Palisades, those are some of the most progressive blue voters in the world, or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is, all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure. How come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush? What's happening with the infrastructure? You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it right there. But the point he's making, and it's perfectly valid, here's where, and this is going to be the thing on which, if I had to guess, that California is going to start turning politically. When people who have owned these homes, in some cases for decades, okay? In some cases, they had their insurance cut right out from under them. All right, so they had no homeowners insurance. Or if they did, it probably cost them sky-high dollar amounts for the premiums, okay? So you got that going on. And now they're going to the city of Los Angeles, or the county of Los Angeles, or whomever, the state of California, to get the permits necessary to rebuild their property. You watch and see if it doesn't happen. Trump's already said on the federal side, look, we'll waive the permit. Look, we'll green light you. Whatever you want to do, go do it. You're cool with us. You watch if it's not the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, and the state of California that caused these people the greatest amount of headache in trying to rebuild their property. And Trump's got a valid point here. There's nothing left. Okay? There's nothing left to burn down. It's all gone. It's incinerated. It's sitting there in ashes. You watch if it's not Los Angeles and the state of California that absolutely mess these people up. And that, my friends, is when California is going to start turning purple. That's when not necessarily red, because it takes time. But that's when California is going to start turning purple. You watch. It will be over this very thing. It will be over the permits just to be able to rebuild their houses. Okay? And by the way, for any of y'all out in California that might be watching this live stream or will watch it later on, and y'all know you do, even though I might have a very strange accent that y'all can't get used to, and I might wear some funny-looking hats that you think are funny-looking. I think they're classy. Let me tell y'all something out there in California. Number one, I love you, okay? And number two, I don't want you guys to ever forget what your city and more particularly your state government did to you that has caused you, in part, to lose everything you have. I got an article here from the Washington Free Beacon. Gavin Newsom shut down a volunteer wildfire response force, leaving LA firefighters shorthanded for 10 days. Our people were already trained to do this, said a former State Guard commander. They could have done a lot. Article by Andrew Kerr and Susanna Luthi. Headline: California Governor Gavin Newsom's administration shut down a highly trained all-volunteer team of certified firefighters in early 2024, a move that rendered the California National Guard incapable of sending a complete firefighting force to Los Angeles until 10 days after the deadly fires broke out in the city, the Washington Free Beacon has learned. Launched in 2020, Team Blaze was an on-call strike force staffed entirely with certified firefighters of the California State Guard, a volunteer militia force that reported directly to Governor Gavin Newsom. Former State Guard Commanding General Jay Kogan said its members attended regular trainings at their own expense, and an outside charity procured much of the team's firefighting equipment at no cost to the state. Now listen to this. These guys voluntarily, these were members of the California State National Guard, volunteered to attend all these classes. So they're trained, they're certified, and their firefighting equipment didn't even cost the state of California a thin dime. Somebody was paying for this on their own. And what happened next? I laugh, but I shouldn't, but it's so true. Watch this. In January 2024, the Newsom administration disbanded Team Blaze after barring its charitable benefactor from providing free firefighting equipment to the volunteers. Team Blaze had to return its equipment to the state, and many of the firefighters quit. While those that remained were transferred to support a separate state initiative called Task Force Rattlesnake, a senior enlisted leader in the California State Guard told the Free Beacon. Task Force Rattlesnake is composed of, quote, hotshot Type 1 hand crews trained to carry out the most dangerous frontline wildfire duties. Rattlesnake deployed 14 of its Type 1 hand crews to Los Angeles after Newsom activated the National Guard to quell the wildfires. California National Guard spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Hill told the Free Beacon Hill disputed the Team Blaze was disbanded, saying the force was incorporated into Rattlesnake as their reserve detachment. Again, you folks out in California, I love you. I absolutely love you. And God, I pray for you as you're trying to recover from this. But I don't want you to ever forget. I don't want you to ever forget what these people did to you. I don't want you to forget every little or big bureaucratic decision that they made that led to where you are right now. I don't want you to ever forget these were the people that wouldn't let you clear out the underbrush if you want to do it, and they damn sure didn't clear it out on their own to make sure you were safe. These are the people that didn't put the fire breaks in that would have helped contain the wildfires. These are the people that wouldn't let water flow down out of Northern California. Oh, and by the way, there's a major fight going on right now. Old Gavin's trying to tell everybody that no, there's no way that water could have flowed down from Northern California. I don't. This is misinformation on the part of the president. He's absolutely wrong about this. Really? I got one for you. Try this. Snowmelt from the Sierra Nevadas and rainfall sent almost 30 million cubic acres of water into the Sacramento River Delta over the past 15 months. Now, let me back this up a second. Okay. So you're talking a year and 3 months. Okay. A year and a quarter. 15 months. Of this, only 23% was sent to productive use in farmland irrigation and homes. A staggering 77% was sent to the ocean. The multi-year drought affecting most of California is man-made. Now, the gentleman who wrote this is named Shamath Palihapitiya. Okay, we'll just call that unpronounceable name number one. But the chart that he's relying on with this, I want you to get a good look at this. Here's the Sacramento area, okay? 24 million gallons of water, right? Okay. Down here is Southern California. Sacramento, rivers, tributaries, etc. 24 million gallons. Okay. Net outflow. And this data comes from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. Okay, so it's not like the guy's making this stuff up off the top of his head. But look at this. 23 million gallons or 24 million gallons of water, okay? Look at all these areas below that absolutely could have benefited from more water. Look at that. And again, this data comes from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, okay? Unbelievable. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this link in chat on both sides because I want you guys to have it. If you're talking to friends, or you're doing some research on your own, this might be helpful to you. Oh yeah, it's absolutely sick. California had all the water it needed to maybe not stop this from happening, but at least be able to fight these fires and contain it. California has all the water that it needs for the land out there to be as fertile and growing crops and doing everything, as opposed to being the dry tinderbox that it is. California had all of it. All that had to be done is just somehow make sure that water gets down from the north into Southern California. That's it. And 22 million gallons of water is getting diverted over 15 months out into the Pacific Ocean. Unbelievable. You're right. It's not incompetence. It's not incompetence. It's just downright criminal. It's criminal negligence as far as I'm concerned. It is criminal negligence. And the sad part about it is Gavin Newsom, as far as being governor of California, yeah, there's a recall effort on right now, but he won't be touched. He won't. You won't be able to touch him. Fortunately, thank God for the people of California, he's term limited. And I would love for Kamala Harris to run for governor of California. I really would. Odds are she might win. Not saying she couldn't, but I want her to defend all this crap. I really do. So that is my uptake on Trump's visits to Western North Carolina and to California. We'll see where it goes from here. But I will say this. I will say one last thing, and then we'll move on to a different compartment of the train, as it were. I'll say this. I really hope that Trump is serious about putting conditions on the aid that goes to California. I'm serious. This stuff's got to stop. And this is one of my potential biggest complaints about what's about to happen. California is going to do or has done those things that have made their situation worse. I'm not saying wildfires would never take place in California. Okay, I get it. It could happen. It could happen there. Hell, it happens in West Virginia. But at least in West Virginia, we try and take steps to keep it from getting bad or out of hand. Okay? In California, they just don't care. Don't clean up the underbrush. Don't get the underbrush away from power lines. Don't put in fire breaks. Have water reservoir systems that, have drained of water. No water in the fire hydrants. Dismissing personnel that I mean, and they do all that, and then when a wildfire happens and a natural disaster is worse than what it should be, okay, then they turn around to the federal government and go, well, I guess you need to bail us out now. Not this time, Gavin. You guys need to change your behavior before we give you one thin dime. And I'm serious about it. I mean, look, I know I can almost guarantee you nobody in the Trump administration is watching my live stream. But if somebody just happens to be, I think I can speak safely, not just for Fedora Nation, but for millions of other people across this country. Not one thin dime to California until, by God, they change their ways. And I don't mean just temporarily. I mean permanently. Not one thin dime. Enough's enough. How many people have been Donald Trump 5 years ago went out to California after they had a set of wildfires, told Gavin Newsom, you need to start raking the forest floors. You need to start cleaning out the underbrush. Did he do any of it? Hell no. This is just basic bureaucratic incompetence bordering on, well, I don't think bordering on, I think just flat out, it's just criminal negligence. Some people's butts need to go to jail for this, as far as I'm concerned. But beyond that, before one thin dime of federal money goes out there to help California, there needs to be some serious changes to the way California does things to prevent this from happening again, at least on this scale. I'm not saying wildfires won't happen in the future out there, but to prevent the kind of scale of what's going on right now, there needs to be some serious changes. And I don't mean just feel good, kumbaya, lefty, pie in the sky ideas about how to do this stuff. I mean some basic, old-fashioned, common sense, concrete ways to make this stuff stop. But anyway, I digress. All right, what time is it? Oh my gosh, it's almost noon. I have been on a roll. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, let me do a real quick commercial, and then we'll move on to our next topic. If you happen to be finding this live stream this morning, or now about to be afternoon, and you're listening to this handsome devil in a fedora rant on, well, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative, and you have happened on a live stream that we call Front Porch Brunch. We get together Saturdays, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and hang out together. We talk about the news. We, take shots at each other. We poke fun at each other. We poke fun at politicians. We rejoice when things go right. We cry when things go wrong. And we otherwise are a fun little community. If this is your cup of tea or your cup of coffee or your brand of whiskey, whatever, why don't you do me a favor and go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. I want to make sure you're always aware when I'm posting new live streams or I got a new video up, which, by the way, many thanks to all y'all out there, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, whatever. At least thank you for taking the time to check out my videos. I had a couple of them this week that really just took off for the standards of a small content creator. So much thanks to all you guys who checked out my videos this week. But absolutely, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, share the link, hit the thumbs up, and all that happy jazz. All right. Let us move on to a different topic, or as I like to call it, a different compartment of the train. And let's get into the now confirmation of one Peter Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. I'm sure by now you all are fully aware of what's happened, but I want to walk through some of this because you know what? This has been a long, hard fight, and it's not the last one either. Tulsi Gabbard goes up for her confirmation hearings next week. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, her hearing is on the 30th of January. And some people say her nomination might be in trouble. Some say not. I don't know yet. Let's see how the hearing goes. I think the hearing, put it this way, if Tulsi Gabbard is in any kind of trouble, her performance at that hearing is going to go a long way toward turning that around. And frankly, we need to get her in as Director of National Intelligence to be working with John Ratcliffe over the CIA as soon as possible. All right. So you're going to have the Tulsi Gabbard nomination fight. You're going to have the Kash Patel. You're going to have the Robert Kennedy Jr. On and on and on it goes. Hang on to that thought, darling. Hang on to that thought, Lana. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that because there's some people that showed their bleeps on this one, and they showed their arses, as they say in Scotland. They showed their arses, and something needs to be done about it. But as you guys are now fully aware, Pete Hegseth is the confirmed Secretary of Defense. J.D. Vance had to come in last night, break the tie in the Senate, which, by the way, I was watching that vote. And I was thinking to myself, I live for all the frustrations that I may have with the current modern age. It is an extraordinary time to be alive. Literally, I can sit at this desk and look at these computer monitors that I have, and I can literally watch the goings on in the United States Senate, and I can see people voting in real time. Okay? It's just absolutely amazing. But as you all are well aware, Pete Hegseth is now the Secretary of Defense. But it's not without some drama. And the drama, and everybody knew this was coming, okay? I take you to the Twitter page of Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican of Alaska. I won't bother reading her rather bland but boring statement, but she came out and said very early on, I'm not voting for Hegseth. Okay, fine. You're not voting for Hegseth. Scratch one. But keep in mind, too, when it comes to Lisa Murkowski, keep this in mind. She voted for 19 out of 21 of Joe Biden's cabinet picks. But yet, when it comes to Donald Trump, she just can't bring herself. She cannot bring herself to vote for his nominee for Secretary of Defense. She voted for Lloyd Austin, the man who went AWOL and no one knew where he was at while he was having surgery. Okay? Voted for him. Hello. Apparently they're voting on Kristi Noem right now. Okay. All right. Guys, do me a favor. If you happen to get some numbers on this, let me know. Where Lisa Murkowski is concerned? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, dear. Absolutely. Very, very liberal. Very liberal. No, Lisa Murkowski is not my future ex-wife. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to do something that I very rarely ever do. Or maybe it's better to say I try not to do. there is nothing physically attractive about Lisa Murkowski. You meant Nome. Oh, well, in that case, well, Kristi Noem is nice looking. She's a little high maintenance for my taste. And frankly, no, have no interest in Kristi Noem either. Anyway, no, I'm for the sake of not embarrassing the lady, I will refrain my comment, but I will say this. These days, the lady really makes me forget about other women. Sorry, just that's the case. Yeah, the lady definitely makes me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't appreciate a good-looking lady, but I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I see someone now, it's kind of one of those deals where, yeah, but you're not, and fill in the blank of the lady. So, okay, all right. Let me get off that subject and get back to my train of thought here on this live stream. Anyway, so if the lady happens to be watching, anyhow, yeah, Lisa Murkowski voted for most, if not all, of Joe Biden's picks, but can't bring herself to vote. Can't bring herself to vote for Hegseth. No, can't do that. Nope. Well, then you got Susan Collins. Oh, thank you, dear. I appreciate that. Thank you. Then you got Susan Collins. She comes out and says, can't vote for Hegseth. Okay. All right. You kind of expected Murkowski. You kind of expected Collins. But the kicker to it is the turtle, Mitch McConnell. And he kept quiet. He kept real quiet for the longest time. And then last night he went into the Senate and did this deal. Watch this, because this one's going to make you mad. Okay? This one is going to make you mad. There's McConnell right there. Votes no. Doesn't hang out with his fellow Republicans. Watch where McConnell goes. There goes McConnell. He's walking across to the Democrat side of the aisle. Finds Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. Shakes hands with him and says, yep. That's what McConnell did, all right. So down 3 Republicans. And what happened next? What happened next was real simple. They just waited around. Oh, by the way. I think it was Adam who sent this to me. And, yeah. Courtney, good morning, dear. Glad to have you here. And, yeah, he needs, well, his term is up in 26. So, yeah, I agree with you completely, dear. He needs to go. But Adam sent me this, and, I just give you this for your consideration. Just think about it. Here's a interesting factoid that you really ought to think about. I'm just saying. So, yeah. Believe it or not, the blue whale does not have the biggest asshole in the world. That honor is reserved for Mitch McConnell. However, there is a real advantage when your vice president happens to be the presiding officer of the Senate.
The Senate being equal.
And you know what? I know you guys have probably already seen this clip, but it definitely bears watching because, frankly, you have no idea the level of satisfaction this gave me last night. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did.
If not, on this vote, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
And there you go, folks. There you go. It's done. Hegseth is in. And it, like I said, it was a long and absolutely bloody fight politically. But he's in. Now, I want to go back to something that Courtney brought up and Lana brought up. Some of these people need to be retired. Well, good news for y'all. Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree with that, Patty. I agree with that completely. I was glad to see him roll right up to the Capitol Hill. There's some, look, and I'm not just saying this because of Pete Hegseth. It's just been known for a long time. A long time. Okay? It's been known for a very long time that some of these people inside the Republican caucus, they need to be primaried or out and out removed. I mean, look, I have a very simple political rule, okay? I would much rather have an honest enemy than a dishonest ally. Now, here's what I'm getting at. I would rather see a political seat be filled by someone who I know flat out, straight up, I know where they're coming from. I don't have to worry about their motives. They're going to tell me straight to my face exactly what they think. I would rather have that than to have someone like a Republican who says one thing to my face and then goes around behind my back putting a knife into me. And I'm going to show you a list of people that absolutely, on the Republican side for sure, they need to be primaried. TBA says, you ain't ever going to get an honest enemy in your face, Brian. True. But frankly, like I said, I'd rather have a Democrat hold some of these seats as I would a Republican, because frankly, there's no difference. There's really no difference. In some cases, that's what I mean by an honest enemy. At least with the Democrats, I know they're going to fight me tooth and nail. I know they're going to try and put the dagger into me either frontwards or backwards. So, oh, thank you very much, dear. That's very sweet of you with a super sticker. Very generous of you, dear. Appreciate that very, very much. That's very kind. That's, again, love seeing that happen. And again, thank you very much, darling. But yeah, there's some people that flat out just need to either, they need to come to Jesus moment or they just need to go, period. And here's a list. And I'll see if I can enlarge this a little bit more. There we go. That's getting better. There we go. Now we're talking. The Democrat side, I'm not necessarily paying attention to, but it's the Republicans. I mean, Bill Cassidy of of Louisiana, he definitely needs a primary challenger. John Cornyn of Texas, he definitely needs a primary challenger. Lindsey Graham most certainly needs to go. I've heard rumors that Nancy Mace is thinking about running for governor of South Carolina. Don't get me wrong. I think Nancy Mace would make a fantastic governor of South Carolina, but I ain't gonna lie about it. I'd love to have her in the U.S. Senate. I really would. But among some others here that really need to go, Mitch McConnell, definitely. You either got to retire or get primaried, one of the two. Let's see. Who else here? Tom Tillis is another one. So there's about 4 or 5 right there. 4 or 5 that just absolutely, they need to go. They just flat out need to go. Although I don't think Tom Tillis of North Carolina is going to be a problem because he's too scared to death that Lara Trump might challenge him. And if she does, he's toast. He's done. So, yeah. The difference is in who controls the House and the Senate, although it may be a small difference at times. That's very true. Very, very true. Very, very true indeed. Yeah, some of them are just flat out walking skeletons. You know, yeah. Now this I'd love to see happen. I'd love to see that happen. So yeah, absolutely. Some of these people just flat out need to go. They really need to go. Now, by way of updates about executive orders, I found a list just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at. And like I said, we are, what now, 5 days into this new administration. It is just everything I can do to keep up. I mean, who was I was talking to the other day? Was it Tracy or was it the lady? I think it was Tracy. Actually, I think I've said the same thing to the lady as well. I said, man, we're going to have, no, it's Culture Casino too. I said the same thing to Culture Casino. We're going to have more content to create than we could shake a stick at. Every so often, Ma Trippett, my beloved mother, asks me, Brian, are you going to have trouble figuring out what to talk about? And I'll kind of laugh and look at her and go, oh, Mom, first of all, I'm a Trippett. We never lack for anything to talk about. Okay? We never lack for anything to talk about. And second of all, when it comes to Donald Trump, there's always going to be something to talk about. So Ma Trippett, have no fear for her son. There is always going to be something we're going to be talking about. And Ruben, I want to address this before I move on. I have not spoken to this yet, but this sounds like something that would really be good for a video, because I have heard this very same thing as it relates to Tim Pool. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to, I'm going to look into it. I've been kind of on the cursory looking into it, but it might be worth a video. It really would. And I think, I think it'd be a load of fun to talk about, especially as it relates to here in West Virginia. So I want to try and get to the bottom of this. But thank you for bringing that one up. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Hexit is in. Now, as far as the executive orders are concerned, here's a real quick rundown of where we're at. This is from newsnation.com or NewsNation Now. Trump has signed 26 executive orders, and in his first term, he signed 33 in the first 100 days. Many of the orders deal with securing the U.S. southern border. This is an article by Jeff Arnold, and he posted this about 8 o'clock last night. He has signed an order on declassifying, well, let me clarify this. Trump has signed an order instructing the DNI and the Justice Department to come up with plans in the next 15 to 45 days for how to release whatever remaining files are still classified on the JFK and the RFK assassinations. So you need to everybody needs to kind of like be very careful with that one. But he signed orders declaring a national emergency at the southern border, ending catch and release. He's reinstituted the Remain in Mexico policy. The border walls construction is resumed. He's designated cartels as global threats. He suspends refugee resettlement for 4 months. Changes the definition of birthright citizenship. Signs an order to deploy military to the border. Enhance border vetting and screening. Where the economy is concerned, has suspended foreign aid for 90 days and promoting American leadership in the digital financial technologies. Has issued an executive order stating there are only 2 genders, and on and on and on it goes. So, yeah, Trump is a very, very busy boy. Absolutely very busy boy. Yeah, he does live he lives in West Virginia. As I understand it about Tim Pool, his home is in West Virginia. His offices are in Maryland. So, but apparently there's a certain row that's going on right now between Tim Pool and I guess local government up there. I got to dig into this one a little bit deeper. But yeah, he does live in West Virginia. And for my part, I'm sorry for the troubles he's going through, but I'm glad to have him. That's a good question. That's a good question. Frankly, if we've got any files in the FBI on the assassination of Malcolm X, look, let it all out. It's been long enough. Let's have at it. Well, now that's a distinct possibility too up in Connecticut. That's a distinct possibility too about the MLK files. I mean, we'll see. I mean, if files are released, I'm curious to see what is in there. I'm very curious to see, but you might be right. It might be a thing that, surviving members of MLK Jr.'s family don't want these things released. We'll see. We'll see. Is that what it is? Okay. Like I say, I'll start doing some digging on this one, because that one's kind of a local story to me, and I'd be very interested to see that one happen. So, which reminds me, hang on a minute. There's somebody around here in my neck of the woods that would be great for a session of chatting on the porch. And when I say in my neck of the woods, I mean literally in my hometown, because some of the things he'd be talking about would be stuff that's common to a lot of places in the United States. So, this is a good question. Was there a deal between Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. to release the files on his dad's murder? I don't know. I don't know if there was a deal. I think that obviously RFK Jr. is very interested in getting whatever information out there to be known to the public. Whether there was some kind of a deal between Trump and RFK Jr., I don't know. I think they both have a very pointed interest for different reasons in seeing the files released. So we'll see. We'll see. Don't know yet. But anyway. All right. It is 12:20 Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to move into another section of the train, commonly referred to as HodgePodge Stew. And we got quite a few things lined up for HodgePodge, but before we get to that, let me do one last quick commercial. My name is Brian Tripp, and I'm the Front Porch Conservative, and this is Front Porch Brunch. This is a live stream that we do on the weekends, where we get together and kind of do a recap of things that have happened during the week, or maybe things that have happened overnight. Who knows? But if you like what we're doing here today, the conversation, the comments, the memes, the fun, the stories, the back and forth, consider subscribing to my channel on YouTube and Rumble. Also, share the link around to your friends and hit the bell for notifications. I want to make sure you're always aware when new stuff is coming up. Leave some comments in chat, hit the thumbs up button, do all those things you guys do to grow the channel, and we'll start being a big concern as opposed to a going concern. I like, and by the way, ever since we crossed over on 1,000, man, this channel has just taken off, and I am tickled to death. So, for all the new subscribers and for all you guys who've been here since the start, God love you guys. You are the best audience on the internet. I absolutely love you guys. Fedora Nation is just nothing short of awesome. So thank you so much for being here, for everything you guys do. Okay. For those of you who are coming to this live stream for the first time, there is a section of the show that we call HodgePodge Stew. HodgePodge Stew are those stories that maybe aren't the biggest or the hottest topic of the day, or they're one thing or another, but there's something kind of funny about them, or there's something interesting about them, and I bring them to your attention, and we talk about it. Oh, and thank you very much, dears. Yes, we are moving on up to the big time, and the term is thriving concern. Well, you got to keep in mind. I'm from West Virginia, so I don't know how to speak English. I mean, some people would say this is English, but I have no idea if it's proper English. I have no idea. So you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Anyway. No, HodgePodge stew is not similar to hedgehog stew with less WWG1. That is not true. That is not true at all. That is fake news, and I disavow. HodgePodge stew is not hedgehog stew with less chunks. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, this crew, you wing nuts over there, you guys are crazy, absolutely crazy. All right. I said earlier in the live stream that I had a story about the media complaining that they can't keep up with Trump. Well, that's going to be the first story in HodgePodge too, because this cracks me up. Okay. Here you have journalists, in many cases, younger than Donald Trump. Okay. They are assigned the White House as their beat. Okay. That is what they're working on exclusively. Okay. And you got a man, 78 years old, okay, and is running circles around these people. I take you to the pages of Breitbart.com. Headline: Media elites whine that they are, quote, exhausted just 5 days into Trump's presidency. Article by Wendell Husebo. We have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. Media establishment personalities say they are already worn out from covering President Donald Trump and his resurgent drive to deliver the golden age of America. Media elites did not have to work very hard during the previous administration. Boy, ain't that the truth. President Joe Biden rarely gave interviews and appeared to hide from the public due to his health. Interviews conducted by the Wall Street Journal revealed Biden's aides protected the, quote, diminished president from cabinet members, donors, pollsters, the media, and top Democrat lawmakers. With Trump's return, his executive orders, the pardons, the policies are already flooding the media landscape, such as Thursday's bombshell report of ICE capturing illegal aliens and deporting them. Day 4 feels like month 4, says Puck's Tara Palmieri. She whined on Thursday, noting she was hesitant to report the news for fear of piling on the deluge of Trump news. Exhausted yet, says Susan Glasser, a staff writer at The New Yorker, asked readers in a report with a list of Trump's immediate actions since taking office. Glazer writes, are you exhausted yet? It's been 3 full days since Donald Trump returned to the presidency, and so far he's pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Treaty and the World Health Organization, announced the unilateral cancellation of the Constitution's guarantee of birthright citizenship, reversed an order lowering prescription drug prices for seniors, threatened a trade war with Canada and Mexico starting in February, and an actual war with Panama if they don't hand over the canal. Going a little bit further into this article, New York Times columnist David Brooks complained that the media had a 4-year vacation from doing their job and is once again having to cover the large amount of news Trump generates. Quote, after a 4-year hiatus, we are once again compelled to go spelunking into the deeper caverns of Donald Trump's brain, David Brooks wrote. That's hysterical. Oh, man. Oh, it probably is. It probably is. Probably is. So yeah, these guys are actually having to flex and work and use muscles they haven't had to do for a while. You know, WWG1 says maybe they're getting tired of the winning. Trump told us we would beg him to stop the winning. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. So the press is already upset that Trump's working them too hard. That is just that is absolutely funny to me. And speaking of the press, by the way, it had been reported earlier in the week that CNN was going to start laying off some people. Well, sure enough, it's happened. And here's another story for HodgePodge too. From the Washington Free Beacon, CNN lays off over 200 employees days into Trump's second term. Article by Matthew Zhao, we have the following. CNN announced it is laying off around 210 employees, or 6% of its workforce, just days after President Donald Trump's second term as part of a cost-cutting move to prioritize digital expansion. The staff cuts, which CEO Mark Thompson detailed in a Thursday memo, will help CNN reduce production costs and consolidate teams as it restructures its traditional TV business and builds out digital subscription offerings, CNBC reported. Some shows produced in New York and Washington may be moved to Atlanta, where production is cheaper, according to sources familiar with the internal deliberations. CNN has faced steep financial losses and plummeting ratings in recent years. The liberal network's revenue tanked around $400 million in 3 years. Wow. Holy cow. Let me read that again. The liberal network's revenue tanked around $400 million in 3 years. Jeez, oh Pete. According to financial metrics revealed at its recent defamation trial, primetime ratings have plunged, listen to this, 62% since 2020, while total day viewership has dropped 58% overall and 71% among those aged 25 to 54 over the 4 years. Holy cow. CNN lost the defamation lawsuit on Friday and was ordered to pay $5 million in economic and emotional damages. A jury found that the network defamed Navy veteran Zachary Young by portraying him as, quote, an illegal profiteer who operated in a, quote, black market while he worked to evacuate Afghans during the Biden administration's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. The network also paid an undisclosed settlement to Young to avoid punitive damages. So yeah. Oh yeah. It's just they are losing their shirts. Big time. Absolutely big time. Yeah, and I remember this too. When CNN was the go-to for network news. 24/7, 365 live feed. Feeding the Yep. Oh yeah. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Yeah, and this is a really good point. Really good point. I can remember that as well. I can remember when many of these networks had desks in foreign countries, London, Beirut, Paris, Moscow. It would be nothing for these networks to make sure they had people on site who could speak the language, who understood the customs of the country, the politics of the country, etc. But not anymore. Not anymore. It's very rare to find a foreign desk for any of these networks. It's just, it's really kind of sad. It genuinely is. Very, very sad. But yeah, I can remember them covering the Gulf War. Yeah, Beirut and fake palm trees. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's true too. That's very true. Very true indeed. Because their ratings were on the rocks back then. Oh, by the way, speaking of CNN, I got a follow-up story to that. You guys remember Jim Acosta, right? Or maybe it's better to say, have you forgotten about Jim Acosta yet? Well, would it surprise you to know that Jim Acosta is shopping his services around? You got to hear this, okay? Check this out. Again, from the Washington Free Beacon, Jim Acosta threatens to quit after CNN offers demotion to the graveyard shift. The obnoxious host career is circling the drain. Oh, God. From Andrew Stiles and Thalija Rampersad, we have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C., Jim Acosta may soon be out of a job at CNN and begging for a new one at MSNBC, the only network likely to put up with his self-righteous preening these next 4 years with Donald Trump as president. The notoriously obnoxious host, best known for making a scene at press conferences during the Trump administration, is reportedly threatening to quit after CNN asked him to accept a humiliating demotion by moving his weekday show, CNN Newsroom with Jim Acosta, from 10 a.m. to the graveyard shift between midnight and 2 a.m. CNN executives have even offered to move Acosta to Los Angeles so he could live in the Pacific time zone. They pitched the idea by noting that midnight on the East Coast is prime time, 9 p.m., on the West Coast, and suggesting the CNN anchor is more than just a Acela corridor network. It's not. Acosta wasn't thrilled about the new time slot, which remains the subject of, quote, active discussions, according to a network spokesman. The host ended his show on Wednesday with a defiant sign-off, quote, still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. The Los Angeles Times reported this week that Acosta may leave the network rather than accept the embarrassing reassignment. One CNN insider told Fox News the graveyard shift is Acosta's only option if he wants to stay. Quote, he could have a real slot, but the choice is not to give him one, the insider said. I don't know about you guys. But this sounds to me like CNN's trying to get rid of him and they're forcing him out. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You know that what I'm referring to. Give somebody an option that you know they won't take as the means to try to force them out. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what CNN's trying to do here. Give Jim Acosta a time slot that is so unctuous and so obnoxious to Acosta's sensibilities. You'd be like, well, the hell with you. I'll just quit. Oh. Move Acosta to a burnout shell of a van in L. Oh my God, that would be bad. That would be awful on so many levels, but funny as all get out. Yeah, he probably would get a good. He probably would get a good severance package. But I mean, watch what is happening here, folks. I mean, look, lay aside the fact this is Jim Acosta. Okay, right now in the modern media landscape, this could be anybody. And by the way, the stuff that's happening to CNN and MSNBC and NBC right now, it's coming to Fox News. Okay? It's coming to Fox. It might take a little longer only because Fox is perceived as the conservative network. But this same thing is coming to Fox. But look at what's happening. And the trend's been going on for some years. I mean, it's not necessarily anything new, but Trump's reelection is definitely accelerating it. Okay? Again, old school brick and mortar networks, okay, with anchor talent that you're paying multi-millions of dollars a year. They have declining ratings. They're losing their membership, their viewership. The advertisers are walking away. I mean, what was that article we read it a moment ago? $400 million over 3 years CNN has lost in advertising revenue. I mean, I'm trying to find the word I want to use here. The current dynamic structure it's unsustainable. They can't do it anymore. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. Part of it's demographics. Part of it is the internet, and part of it is their own lack of credibility. When you are found to be either out and out lying to your audience or giving them a bunch of news that in the end proves not to be true, people are just going to be like, I can't watch these people anymore. I'm done. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, look, dear, I wholeheartedly agree with this. This is absolutely true. It'll hit Fox. It will absolutely hit Fox. Yep, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. People are getting their news And lay aside whether it's Twitter or TikTok, they're going to different spaces and different places to get the news. It cracked me up in Joe Biden's goodbye address that, disinformation, they're not moderating content online anymore. Well, no, that's not their job. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't want anybody to tell me what they think I ought to know. I'll tell you what I want to know, and then you'll tell me, and then I'll make up my mind what I think about it. Okay? I'm not sitting here claiming to be, the smartest guy in the room. But I'd like to think I'm reasonably intelligent enough. Just tell me what's going on, and then we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Let me decide what it means for my life or my community or my county or my state or my country or my planet, for that even. But they can't do that. And K1, I absolutely agree with you. The old model is broken. Yeah. Oh, and dear, thank you for this. Thank you. I genuinely appreciate that vote of confidence. Culture Casino has said it. I've said it. Many others have said it. We are the new media. We are the media now. And that comes with a lot of responsibility, but a lot of opportunity. So I say jump on in. Oh, yeah. That clip from Mika Brzezinski that we decide what the news is, that opened a lot of people's eyes, I think. I remember the very one you're talking about. So, yeah, CNN's falling apart. Jim Acosta might be on his way out the door. All right. Next topic in the HodgePodge 2. Have you guys heard this rumor going around about Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston? You guys heard about this? Now, you guys know me. I like to do kind of a newsy sort of a program. I don't necessarily engage in social gossip. My philosophy is kind of like that line from a song on that old TV show, Hee Haw. You'll never hear me repeating gossip, so you better listen close the first time. That's kind of how I treat this. Yeah. Normally I would say yes. I'd be like you. Yeah. So what? Okay. But this thing is the craziest thing I've heard of. This thing is like, apparently, if here's the rumor, if you haven't heard it. Apparently, Barack and Jennifer, been doing some heeing and sheeing, as we say here in West Virginia. Michelle's found out about it. She's not happy. And supposedly the Obamas are on their way to a divorce, compliments in part due to Jennifer Aniston. Well, Jennifer Aniston got asked about this last night. And I think she was on the Jimmy Kimmel show and asked about this. And here was her response.
The magazine that came out a couple of weeks ago, In Touch, said the truth about Jen and Barack.
That was of all the calls you get from your publicist where you're just like, oh no, what's it going to be? Or the email saying, some cheesy tabloid is going to make up a story. And then it's that.
Yeah. Does your publicist ever go like, is there any truth to this? Or is it...
No, that is absolutely untrue.
Well, I know it's not true. Yeah. I just don't know if everybody knows.
Well, it is untrue.
Some people, it is untrue. So the truth about Jen and Barack is that there is no truth.
There is no truth.
Untrue. You know Barack Obama.
I've met him once.
Met him once.
I know Michelle more than him.
What is there a truth about you and Michelle? We should know.
That is not true.
So,
okay, so that's Jennifer Aniston's side of it. Okay. And yeah, it probably is. And in the end, it probably is a bit of a distraction. So I get that. I understand where y'all are coming from. You really think she has? Wow. Well, I hadn't thought about that, but okay. I kind of, well, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, whoa. Okay. Here's one I didn't see coming. All right. Okay. What? Well, apparently I'm out in the woods on this one. I didn't realize this was a thing. Not only is Gypsy dropping that bomb on me, WWG1 says, I used to think she was attractive before I found out she was a dude. What the? Why am I just now hearing about this? What the heck? Anyway, that's Jennifer Aniston's side of it. She says there's nothing to it, right? Not a thing. Well, the former president has now responded to this. And apparently, apparently, I guess I do need to get out more. I guess you're right. Guess I do need to get out. Oh, God. You mean Chrissy Mayer's weighed in on this thing? Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy. I tell you what. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, now that is a fair point. Okay. Fair point. She is fit. That's hard to believe she's 55 years old. Still looks fantastic, by the way. Well, the former president has responded to these rumors about whether or not he's dating Jennifer Aniston. And, folks, there might be some truth to this, especially given his reaction to, apparently his own sort of self-confession that, yeah, they have got a thing going. So I mean, look, I'm going to let you judge this for yourself. Okay. We have Barack Obama's, apparently he was asked about this and he kind of said, well, yeah. But it's his reaction to having dated her that I think is leaving a lot of people wondering what the heck. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, here is former President Barack Obama on his,
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered.
Wow.
I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman. Listen,
I had no idea that dating Jennifer Aniston would give that kind of a reaction. Oh my gosh. Whew. Huh. Apparently Barack's not gay anymore. Who knew? Wow. My goodness. So that's the latest on the Barack and Jennifer Aniston news. So just saying. Jennifer's denying it and Barack's saying he's not gay anymore. Make of that what you will, folks. I'm just saying. Now, I have to thank Gypsy for this next story. We oftentimes focus on Democrats in Washington, D.C., as far as their reaction when someone like a Donald Trump comes into office, right? Well, there are others out there in the country who are reacting apparently in such a crazed sort of a way. And again, I have to thank Gypsy for this when she sent this to me as a potential nominee for HodgePodge stew. And when I read this, I'm like, oh, we so need to talk about this. Apparently, the Lenawee Democrat Party of Michigan has put out a statement regarding the immigration custom enforcement folks operating in their area. And let me tell you something. You want some serious reaction, Yeah, the Lenawee County Democrat Party in Michigan is not having any of this. Quote, we have received reports that ICE operating in Lenawee County today. It should be understood that in the context of illegitimately and unconstitutionally elected insurrectionist president who ran on a Nazi rhetoric and who has had what was, in effect, a Nazi rally for his presidential inauguration, that the agents of ICE that are operating in our county today are properly defined as Nazi collaborators. These Nazi collaborators, aka ICE agents, are unconstitutionally operating within the borders of the state of Michigan. Invalid Supreme Court rulings are just that, folks, the necessary moral preconditions for the extra constitutional removal of the President of the United States and any elected official at any level of government who professes support for or who provides material support for this man or his administration have been met. As well, this holds true for the 6 Supreme Court justices who ruled that presidents are above the law. We are no longer a constitutional republic. We are a fascist Nazi billionaire oligarchy. And you thought Democrats in Washington, D.C. were having a hard time of it? I'm just saying. To the Lenawee County Democrat Party, I just say the following. I love you, and y'all need Jesus. I'm just saying. Whew. Anyhow. Oh, you guys have probably heard about this, but I don't know whether this next thing is commentary or celebration or me just being a little bit snotty about it, but have you guys heard that the security detail for Dr. Anthony Fauci has been canceled? Did you guys know that Dr. Anthony Fauci still had a federally paid for security detail? A man who's not worked in the federal government now for over a year, by the way. He is retired, right? Did you guys hear about this? Well, Donald Trump was asked about this the other day, and wait a second. Wait a minute. What is this? Up in Connecticut says, on my Facebook, there are 3 to 4 liberal groups that are patrolling areas of New Haven and Hartford and Bridgeport, Connecticut, following ICE around and warning residents. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, my. Oh, boy. Well, yeah, Fauci has had his security detail. And by the way, did you know how much it cost? I got a story here from the UK Independent. Check this out. Trump ends Fauci's security detail and says he'll feel no responsibility if harm befell him. Article by Wes Weissert and Zeke Miller. We have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump has ended the federal security detail for Dr. Anthony Fauci, an infectious disease expert who advised him on the COVID-19 pandemic, a person familiar with the matter said Friday. Fauci is the latest in a string of former Trump aides turned critics to see their federal protection canceled despite ongoing threats to their lives. Speaking to reporters in North Carolina on Friday, Trump said he wouldn't feel any responsibility if harm befell the former government officials. A person familiar with the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the sensitive security issues said that Fauci's federal security detail was ended on Thursday and he has since hired private security. When asked about Fauci and former National Security Advisor John Bolton, Trump said, quote, they made a lot of money, they can hire their own security too. Trump, a Republican, earlier this week revoked protection details for former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and his top aide Brian Hook, as well as Bolton. All have faced threats from Iran since they took hardline stances on the Islamic Republic during Trump's first administration and fell out with him in the years after he left office in 2021. Fauci was a regular at Trump's side during the COVID-19 outbreak, but grew critical of Trump after the president tried to undermine public health guidance. Now, that's not true. That's not true at all. Or at least not the way the UK Independent's portraying it. Fauci faced regular threats to his life and has received federal protection for years. Bolton, Hook, and Pompeo had their security details repeatedly renewed by the Biden administration because of credible and ongoing threats from Iran. Fauci was also repeatedly renewed by Joe Biden, a Democrat, because of domestic threats. Quote, "You can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you worked in government," Trump said. And that, to me, is the larger point here. Look, if you're in the employ of the federal government, okay, and you're someone, of importance, a Secretary of State, a national security advisor, etc., okay, then I can understand having a security detail. If, on the other hand, you are retired from employment with the federal government, in the case of Anthony Fauci, why in the name of God should you get a $15 million a year federal security detail? Somebody explain that to me. It was costing us, the taxpayers, $15 million a year to make sure this guy gets federal protection. No, you're just mad about the cost. No, look, $15 million compared to a $6 trillion a year federal budget is just plain old ridiculous, okay? So I get it. That said, however, okay, Trump's got a valid point. Just because you worked for the federal government at one time does not mean you get a federal protection detail for the rest of your life. Yeah, exactly. Well, and this is a good point too. Yes, former presidents get a security detail for the rest of their lives. I get it. But, Anthony Fauci is a wealthy man. Okay? He does not need a $15 million a year federally paid for security detail. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, definitely. Man, don't hold back, some of y'all. Tell me what you really think of Anthony Fauci. Robert, there's a lot of people that would probably be agreeing with you. Just saying. Hey, a couple of more stories, then we're going to hop out of here for the day. Apparently, some people have been wondering for a while. Whether or not this whole thing about Trump talking about Greenland is serious. Because, very early on, probably around mid-December is when this conversation kicked up in earnest. Trump's been talking about Greenland, which is, by the way, a part of the nation of Denmark. And people have been like, Trump's trying to get his... Oh, no, you can't be serious. Trump's joking around about Greenland. Ain't no way. Oh, no. Apparently, he's very serious. And if you want some proof for that, I got a story here from the Financial Times about a phone call took place between Trump and the Prime Minister of Denmark. And I don't know how exactly this went down, but the people on the European side of this phone call said, oh, yeah, Trump's kind of serious about this. From the Financial Times, Donald Trump in fiery call with Denmark's Prime Minister over Greenland. U.S. President insisted he wants to take over the Arctic island. Article by Richard Milne in Oslo, Gideon Rachman in London, and James Poletti in Washington, D.C. We have the following. Donald Trump insisted he is very serious in his determination to take over Greenland in a fiery telephone call with Denmark's prime minister, according to senior European officials. The president spoke with Mette Frederiksen, the Danish premier, for 45 minutes last week. The White House has not commented on the call, but Frederiksen said that she emphasized that the vast Arctic island, an autonomous part of the Kingdom of Denmark, was not for sale, while noting America's big interest in it. 5 current and former senior European officials briefed on the call said the conversation had gone, quote, very badly. They added that Trump has been aggressive and confrontational following the Danish prime minister's comments that the island was not for sale, despite her offer of more cooperation on military bases and mineral exploration. Quote, "It was horrendous," said one of the people. Another one added he was very firm. "It was a cold shower. Before, it was hard to take it seriously. But I do think it is serious and potentially very dangerous." Now, why is it that those two words are always ascribed to anything that Donald Trump wants to do? It's very dangerous what Trump is trying to do. It's very dangerous, the discussions of getting rid of FEMA. It's very dangerous, his calls for owning Greenland. Give me a break, guys. So, yeah, we'll read a little bit further into this. Trump has started his second term musing about potentially taking over Greenland, the Panama Canal, and even Canada. Many European officials had hoped his comments about seeking control of Greenland for, quote, national security reasons were a negotiating ploy to gain more influence over a NATO territory. Russia and China are both jostling for position in the Arctic, and that's one of the big reasons why we ought to be seriously trying to get this thing done. Look, the mineral, there are, according to reports, there are trillions of dollars in mineral deposits in Greenland. If we could acquire the island, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe Elon does want to do some stuff up there. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Anyway, back to the article. But the call with Friedrichsen had crushed such hopes, deepening the foreign policy crisis between the NATO allies. Quote, "The intent was very clear. They, the United States, want it. The Danes are now in crisis mode," said one person briefed on the call. Another one said the Danes are utterly freaked out by this. Another Danish official added, quote, "It was a very tough conversation. He threatened some specific measures against Denmark, such as targeted tariffs." The Danish Prime Minister's office said it did not recognize the interpretation of the conversation given by anonymous sources. So there you go. Trump's not messing around on this one. And frankly, I hope we come to, if not at minimum, some kind of agreement with Denmark for the mineral rights. Then, if we can get our hands on it, that's going to cause a serious problem for China and Russia. Not so much I'm worried about the Russians, but the Chinese. Yeah. Wasn't Greenland I think you're thinking Graceland. Oh, really? Really? Okay. Interesting. Next time we get together, my friend, we'll have a conversation on that topic. I'd like to get your take on it. But yeah, I mean, Trump's serious about this. So, okay, one last thing, and then we'll skedaddle. It's one thing to try and make a political statement. It's another thing altogether when the political statement you're trying to make does not work out the way you intend. Recently, some PETA activists tried to dump a truckload of dirt in front of the ASPCA headquarters, but it failed. The reason that it didn't work is because, I think it's going to kind of become obvious here in just a second. So here are the PETA activists, so you might want to check this one out.
Guys, out of the street, now. Everybody on the sidewalk, everybody. Let's go, up on the sidewalk. Let's go, up on the sidewalk, now.
Nope, hang on. Yeah, basically the reason that it didn't work, the dirt froze on them. Oh my gosh. Too daggone funny. Poor old PETA. They can't even get a protest right these days. Okay, let's bring this train into the station. It's about 1:00 in the afternoon, so there you go. Yeah, as WWD1 says, shit freezes in the winter. A lot of things freeze in the winter, my friends. So, yeah, it's crazy. Just crazy. All right. Thank you guys so much, as always, for being a part of Front Porch Brunch. Glad to have you guys here. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a good getting back in the saddle and enjoying it very, very much. We'll be back next week with live streams. We'll be back next week. Tracy and I will be doing, way of announcement. Tracy and I will be doing the newsroom on Thursday night. The reason being, Wednesday night is Ma Trippett's birthday. And I asked Tracy about this, and she's okay. I'm going to spend some time with my mom on her birthday. We're going to have a party for her next Saturday, actually, in the afternoon. But I'm going to spend some time with her on her actual birthday, which is this Wednesday. So the TBA, thank you, TBA, for the. I'll pass that on to my mom. So yeah, we'll be doing the newsroom this Thursday night. I got to talk to Mike Harlow sometime this weekend. I was going to have Mike on this Thursday night, but now I've realized I've jammed myself here, but that's okay. Mike and I will work this thing out. But there will be live streams, videos, conversations galore next week. So thank you guys ever so much for being here. It's been a wonderful time as always. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. And as we depart, as always, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Thanks so much for being here. You guys have a great weekend.